A few days ago, Darian Cruz became the world team member for Puerto Rico. I was sad to see him transfer away from America because he was very competitive in the 57 kilogram landscape, but to be honest, I can never see him making the team, especially as it gets deeper and deeper as the years go on. So I am happy knowing that I will see him at every world championship because he is easily one of my favorite college wrestlers of all time. I don't want to talk too much about his Puerto Rico spot or his international career, but instead talk about his college career and do a retrospective for all of you to enjoy. I plan to do a ton of these as I see fit, and this would be a good first one to do and relevant since Cruz's recent success. Before we jump into that, hey everyone, my name is Tanner, and this is TrueTan Wrestling. I'm just a wrestler making videos about my favorite sport, D1 college wrestling. I primarily do lineup breakdowns and dual/tournaments previews/recaps in the D1 college wrestling space. If any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have your own thoughts on Darian Cruz, feel free to leave a comment in the comments section below. Now, let's jump into it. Darian Cruz was one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, even all the way back in high school. When I was in middle school, Cruz was obviously in high school, and I thought he was the king of District 11 in Pennsylvania. And he was a savage, blowing through competition. I literally thought he was unbeatable, but then he went to Lehigh. At the time, I didn't know Lehigh's successful tradition, but I just classified it as a small school, and if he really wanted to become an All-American, he would have to go to a bigger school. Knowing what I know now, I definitely could say that Lehigh can raise All-Americans and national champs, obviously. Heck, they had several All-Americans and national champs in my lifetime, so I don't know what I was thinking when I was a kid, but I'm a little smarter now, and Lehigh is one of my favorite teams by far, just because it's close to where I grew up as a kid, and they're just a great small school to root for. It was cool to think that a wrestler of Cruz's talents stayed close to home to try and accomplish his goals. Lehigh is also a great place for an education, so it was like getting two birds with one stone. Cruz was a 3-time state medalist and a 2-time state champ in Pennsylvania, and his final season was done in dominant fashion. He went to a very good Bethlehem Catholic high school, which is still turning out high-level athletes for the Division I level to this day. Darian's older brother Randy Cruz actually All-American at 149 pounds too, and Luke Kemmer also wrestled at Lehigh and transferred to West Virginia, and he is also a Bethlehem Catholic alum. Cruz's first year in college was pretty well for a true freshman. I wouldn't say he had any bad losses on the year. His worst losses were probably to Petrov of Bucknell, who was a multiple-time national qualifier, or Zanetta, who was the 15th seed that year, and he was from Pitt. So not bad losses, but definitely not All-American resume stuff if I do say so myself. Cruz was the 5th seed entering EIWAs, and he would lose in the quarterfinals of EIWAs to Petrov again for the second time that season. But he would bounce back to take third in a tough bracket, where national runner-up Nashon Garrett would win, and future All-American Terrell would take second. Cruz would get a tough draw at 125 NCAAs, where he would get teched by third-place finisher Nico Megaludis from Penn State and future national champ. And I thought after that he would probably go 1-2, but instead he faced adversity and rallied off 4 wins to All-American, where he beat longtime Nebraska starter Lambert, 4-seed Martinez from Air Force, and EIWA runner-up Terrell from American University. He would lose to Joey Dance after the round of 12, who went on to take 4th, and then beat another unseeded 125-pounder Hall from Iowa State to place 7th during his first season. Cruz was definitely not expected to place. Obviously, he was unseeded entering the tournament, but he fought through the ups and downs and made the best of the season, and he walked away as a true freshman All-American, which is not easy, especially not in a deep 125 weight class. His next season, he would redshirt, so later 133 All-American Scotty Parker could get some time at 125. Cruz wrestled a ton and took his lumps, but also won a ton, which is expected by a returning All-American, and I think his redshirt ultimately helped the team in the long run. We fast forward to his 3rd year, or redshirt sophomore year. Cruz for sure looked better in his 2016 run, but he did drop his first match of the season to his Bucknell rival Petrov. And he had a rough southern scuffle for someone of his talents, but the bracket was loaded and it had returning runner-up Zeke Moisey taking 3rd, beating Cruz in the Conti semis. Cruz would however bounce back and win the EIWA tournament, beating Petrov of Bucknell and Terrell of American, which is an awesome tournament to win, but unfortunately it didn't completely carry over to NCAAs. He lost in the second round to Stram of Stanford, and then lost in the round of 12 to Milhoff in his All-American season, and Cruz's run to All-American for the second time was cut short. This was tough to watch, especially after a redshirt season where Lehigh probably expected him to be more productive. However, for those of you who know the Darian Cruz story, you know he responded from this tragic end of the season pretty well. Darian Cruz would come back honestly looking the same, but definitely with a chip on his shoulder and some maturity/experience under his belt. He lost 7-0 decision to a freshman and very good Nick Siriano of Penn State, who later transferred to Rutgers, who would eventually get hurt and not be able to compete at NCAAs, and he would get majored by Ethan Lezak of Minnesota. However, Cruz said everything about his training changed after the Lezak loss. He would win out the season being a very good Joey Dance at Virginia Tech and winning a weaker EIWA, which I am sure Cruz didn't complain about compared to his meat grinders he was used to. The front runner at 125 that year was Thomas Gilman of Iowa, who would go on to have a ton of international success, and he still is. But we all know what happened at the 2017 NCAA semifinals. Cruz was the 4 seed and made his way to Gilman, who did beat him earlier in his college career, but the heavy underdog Cruz would end up beating Gilman in sudden victory, and man, did he look good doing it. I remember my dad and I jumping up and down during this match, and it was crazy. I love Thomas Gilman and I still cheered him to this day, but this was the upset of the tournament easily. Cruz would then get revenge on Lehigh in the national finals, winning by way of 6-3 decision, looking better than ever, and he was a national champion. Lehigh was also a 3-time All-American, so he also had a solid career, and he was also from the same high school district, fun fact, as Cruz, and it was truly crazy for him, but he showed that he has the skills to win it all. It's crazy to think that he went from a round of 12 the year before to a national champ in the very next year. Unfortunately, he did not end on that note, but instead placed 5th at nationals his senior year, but he was unbeaten entering the NCAA tournament, before finally losing to Suriano Rutgers, later a Michigan transfer, in the semifinals, and then ironically Lezak of Minnesota in the Conti semis. But he would end on a win being Rivera of Northwestern, later a Rutgers transfer, who we all know is still having a crazy college career. That 125 weight class was crazy, by the way. Spencer Lee won his first title here. There was 4-time All-American and national champ Nathan Tomasello of Ohio State, future 133 champ Nick Suriano of Rutgers, like I said, now transferred to Michigan. Sebastian Rivera, as mentioned, who beat Spencer Lee 2 times the next year. Multiple-time All-American Lezak of Minnesota, and then guys like Piccinini of Oklahoma State, Russell of Edinburgh, later transferred to Minnesota, and Lamont of Utah Valley, who would all eventually become All-Americans or were already All-Americans that didn't even make the top 8. Truly a crazy field. Oh yeah, and then there was Zeke Moisey, who somehow weaseled his way into All-American again, somehow. Cruz unfortunately did not end his career on the top, but he was still a national champion and 3-time All-American, ending his career at least on a win in an extremely loaded field, and he entered as the 1 seed. Like I said, he was always one of my favorite 125s, just because he was so much fun to watch, and his leg attack and leg defense were just wild sometimes. He has been missed by Lehigh and in the college scene, but as I said, he has moved on to bigger and better things, and all wrestlers need to leave college sometime, whether they want to or their eligibility tells them they have to. Well, I hope you guys like my first ever college retrospective. I plan to do a lot more of these, like I got a recommendation for a Kyle Snyder one when he was at Ohio State. So if you liked it, hit that like button because there will be more in the future. If you found me through this video, I hope you enjoyed the content and please subscribe for more. If you want to see one of your favorite college wrestlers get a retrospective done by yours truly, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to do it. A little channel update, I plan to be covering collegiate duels with a recap, and if you haven't seen the preview, please go check it out. I also plan to recap and preview Midlands and Scuffle, so those videos will be on the way as those events get closer and, well, as they end, because I clearly gotta watch them for the recaps. Those videos will take a lot of time to make, but I have several other lineup videos I want to make as well, and in the works, such as Michigan and Cornell, so stay tuned for those. With all that said, take care everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.